Hello, hi guys. I wanted to make this video on why boots suck since I made my last video and I saw a few comments that were like, hey, like I think the mobility is important, and I saw a lot of people very skeptical about it. So I just wanted to go through it again and give a little bit more in detail why I think boots suck on enchanters. Okay? So qualifications, currently around 600 LP chat masters. 62% win with Soraka. I was a mid lane main last season, but I just hated the role quest so much so that I decided to leave it. It was dog shit. Don't like role quests. Can get into that in another video. But like TLDR, despise it. Switch to support, and I feel like there's a lot of min-maxing opportunities there that are not been looked at. So no boots. You don't want any boots on any of the supports. And I'm just gonna start this off. Don't go Iodian or Swifties. And the biggest reason is its cost. It is 1,000 gold on a support budget. That is a lot of dollars that you as an enchanter cannot afford. Now, I'm not saying boots are bad on support. I just think enchanters can't build them. I think tank supports like Blitzcrank and Leona thrive. Or abilities like Nautilus or Braum or Rakan. These abilities don't like care about your items. They just want to be landed, and the fastest way to land them is to build boots to catch up to it. Well, enchanters need items to empower their abilities to make them stronger to scale up. Enchanters scale while tank supports don't scale. So there's that ebb and flow. So let's go through support items. Okay, let's look at these are I showed 4 support items, but you can take this as like any support items. If you notice, all these support items aside from Dawncore are around 2,200. Okay, 2,200 gold basically for an item. Boots, on the other hand, cost 1,000 gold approximately on average. Okay, so you're telling me I'm going to spend almost half my budget building an item that gives movement speed and ability haste, or sometimes just plain movement speed. Now, if I were to tell this to a mid laner or a top laner that they have to spend 1 point like 5k gold on boots, they would go insane. Like here, I'm showing you the current boots, right? And as of right now, the worst boots in the game is Merc Treads because of its unreasonably high cost and is only built specifically if the opponent has a lot of CC. And even then, it's a real feels bad boots. For a boots that's specifically designed for counter picking, it has a disgustingly low win rate compared to even Tabbies. Tabbies has a higher win rate than Mercs because Mercs is just way more expensive than it. It's just not worth spending 1,200 gold. And even sometimes when you're going against an AP heavy team, you still don't want to build Mercs just for the fact that it pushes your power spike too far. Now, if you were to tell a top laner or an AD carry or a mid laner or a jungler that there was these new boots that all of a sudden costed 1,500 that gave you all the stats you wanted, everyone would laugh at your face and no one would build it, and everyone would ask for the boots to get buffed by lowering its cost. It is criminal how support players still build boots even though if top or other roles were to look at it from our perspective, like, if we were looking at it from their perspective, I guess, or whatever, like, they would never build these boots. Okay, so same idea applies for us. Now, I want to show you some example games where I did not build boots and my opponents did build boots. Let's look at this game, right? This doesn't get to tank support, but if you see, I am 2.5 items, while my opponent is 1.5 items, okay? Just because they build boots and a refillable pot. And I'm pretty sure they also bought pink wards. But because they're a tank support, it's fine. They have the luxury to do this because they're a tank support. Okay? Next game. Into a enchanter, right? They're 2.5 items, while I am two. They're 1.5 items, while I am 2.5 items. I'm almost a full item ahead of them because they built boots. Okay, it is just a repeated pattern. I'm a full item. Another example where there's a support hybrid Senna build where they are 2.5 items. And keep in mind, Senna also gets more gold because of her souls, while I am 3.5 items. Another game where 3 items, while 3 and a boots versus 2 and a boots, 2.5 plus boots. Like, you hit your power spike so much faster into the game because of this. Another game. Oh, this is a game where I lost, right? All the previous games I won. This is a game where I lost, and I lost hard, right? This is a game where my opponent Leona went 2-1-11, and I'm 0-4-5, right? But because I didn't build boots, if you exclude the boots, right, from my opponent Leona, they're at 2.5 items. Well, I'm at 2.5 items. I managed to keep my item, like the item lead didn't disappear, even though they're so much more ahead of me. Or look at this game where they won the game, but I still had more items. I'm at 3 items, 3.5 items, while they're at 2.5. Even though I lost this game and they had a better KD and everything, they like I'm still out itemizing them. Now, I picked out a few games, but please go to my op.gg and look through all the games you want. I would say over around 80% of games, I am out itemizing people. I am always more items than them, usually by one full item. Okay? Now, I'm talking about the pros, right? You have an item lead, but let's talk about the cons, okay? This build isn't like the perfect build. It's not like if it was a perfect build, everyone would build it, right? But let's talk about the cons. The first and the biggest con, in my opinion, is that you are really slow. Okay, you are like extreme slow. Like walking from one lane to the other is hell. Okay, like if you are rotating from top side to dragon pit, don't just recall at that point. You're not getting there. Like it is so hard to move across the map, move around the map, and so some games you're gonna feel a little homeless. Okay, you're gonna feel like you can never get to the fight fast enough because you're always like running after them. If that makes sense, you're always trying to get to the fight. You know, because your enemy allies are fighting everywhere. Okay, and I will say, if you try this bootless playstyle and you play as Janna with boots, like with Swifties or whatever, you're going to really appreciate the power of boots and like mobility like afterwards. But let me tell you, it is not worth it is not worth the trade-off. And I'll explain more later. It's not worth the missing an entire item's power spike just for a little bit of a feels good. Okay, so then that's the first con. Okay, let's get to the next con. The second con is, and in my opinion, this is another con of the build, is the fact that between your first and second item, if your opponent built boots and you didn't, um, your opponent will be stronger. So let's say if your opponent has their first item, Moonstone or whatever, with Swifties, while I have Moonstone with Forbidden Idol, they will be stronger because they have a boots complete, and that gives them more presence. That just makes them like a little bit stronger at that moment. Okay, so but there is a caveat to this entire thing. There's a however here. Okay, if your opponent does boots into Moonstone, okay, they are not stronger, and I'll explain a little bit. Versus Moonstone into boots. So let me explain why. The reason why it's different is because as a support, right, you actually get a little bit of an influx of a gold in the beginning of the game, okay? In the very beginning, you get a little bit of a boost of a gold. Like, you get like 800 gold right off the bat because of the support quest, right? So usually in the beginning of the game, if you don't build boots and you just go straight to the support item, right, you as a player will hit your power spec. Let's say you built Moonstone right off the bat, your opponent built boots with their like components or whatever, you will be stronger versus your opponent, okay? And since you got your influx of gold at the beginning, right, you can get like 2k gold a lot faster than getting from like 1k to 2k. You'll get that a lot faster going from 2k to 3k. So your opponent finishing their components to their first item will be a lot slower, which will give you more time to finish your will keep you stronger until you finish your second component. So it is a little bit of an ebb and flow. It is not always like black and white, but that is just a point I want to point out. That's the second issue with the build. Okay, the third issue, assassins. I love this picture of Nefiri, but like it's so hard to deal with assassins with this build because if they jump on you like Nefiri or like Kiana, if she just jumps on you, you're dead. Okay, there's nothing you can do about it. Like a lot of the times you're just gonna die. Like I would say like 8 out of 10 times you're gonna die, 7 out of 10 times. Okay, and I referenced this in my last video. I'll make another video on this if people request it also, but I most likely will since I've referenced it a few times and I didn't give a really good explanation. Is you got to learn how to play these pockets. That's the best way to deal with this build. With this build, okay, you as a player are giving yourself stronger power spikes, but you need to learn to play pockets. And I will explain pocket. I'll give a small explanation here because this needs to be its own video on what pockets are. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a few examples of my favorite pockets. But like, as the support, right? You control vision. You are the vision king. You know you should have a general idea what is word and what isn't, and you know where your wards are. Okay, so you are playing a game of basically like you should be in a place where your opponent's assassin is like they don't know where you are. They're like, oh, I don't know. You're in a dark space. It is a game of hide and seek basically against your assassin. Okay, what since they don't know where you are, they're mostly just gonna focus someone else, and then you can join the fight. Okay, or if you're to show in the fight, mostly because they don't know where you are, and if you place your vision correctly, you can be on the other side of the fight so you won't be in danger. Like if the fight right now is happening in Dragon or like in the river, right? Your opponent doesn't know you're hiding in this bush. Okay? So if you like you can run to the river and heal them up and run in and out of fog of vision. So the assassin can't easily find you and assassinate you. I'll make a more in-depth video and explain and show lots of clips on it in my next video, but this is just my small little presentation to explain why boots are just mandatory on support. I'm sorry, why boots are not mandatory on supports, and you should not build them. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please leave in the comments. I'm planning on making another video on these pockets, but any questions, put a comment or whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.